David Holman. I am the Director of Education for Proudhound Coffee, as well as I'm the overseer of the cafe. My passion and interest of coffee kind of started when I first started going to specialty shops. They really showed the way of what coffee can mean and how important it is for these producers and countries, and how much they're actually worth. So I wanted to be an advocate for them to educate people in my own country that coffee is more than just a 99-cent cup of coffee.
Hi, I'm Nick Snyder. I'm interested in getting into the coffee business because I love coffee, for one. It makes me happy, it brightens my day, something I look forward to every single day. And also, coffee to me has brought a lot of people together. It gives me a reason to meet up with people. So community is important to me. The impact I'm hoping to make with coffee is three things. One, because I love coffee so much and enjoy it, I want to extend that to other people. Second is community building. I think coffee can and should be a community building thing. And so I just love the idea of, through a coffee business, building up communities to be stronger neighborhoods, stronger communities together. And then the last one is giving. My hope is that through a successful coffee business, to give a lot of money away, supporting future ideas that would benefit people in a community, something like that.
I hope Proudhound impacts mostly the community of where we are in Silverton. I feel like there's not a ton of coffee offerings around here, so people don't even know what coffee really is or what it can be. The more modern importance of coffee has become the cafe. It's not so much about the drink anymore, which I hope it still is, but I think it's more about the people that you are drinking the coffee with.
I think coffee in American culture is important because to our generation and a little bit younger than the older generation, I think it's definitely more social. It's something that brings people together, as I've already, that's something that's important to me with this, and it's just a great reason to meet up with people. It's something to talk over. It's a social drink.
The biggest challenges of managing a coffee brand so far have been mostly just trying to get our name out there. It's one thing to have a social media presence, but actually getting your coffee around, and there's also multiple other coffee brands in the city that are already very established. So I guess the biggest part is just trying to explain how we're different.
My fears in trying to achieve this business, I want people to buy into the mission beyond just being a coffee business. I want people to buy into oh, they're doing something that I want to support. So what will be unique to my brand, it will be a company focused and principally focused on giving, being charitable, and supporting future ideas as a staple, not as an afterthought, not as well, we're a big company, we'll donate some money, but as a actual very important part of the company.
I think the most unique thing that Proudhound is trying to do, we want to make transparency reports, or just transparency cards for our coffees, basically saying how much we paid for them and how much the coffee growers are being paid, because that's super important. We want people to understand that there is a minimum that you can pay for coffee, but we choose to pay more because we want them to have a life and be able to provide for their families.
To launch my brand starts with getting support through my personal connections. So my closest friends, I want them to be excited about it. I will try to expand to friends and family around us. And then after that, I'm hoping to launch through local connections.
My wisdom to anybody who is trying to open a coffee business is, at most times, people don't even care about the coffee as long as the customer service is really good. So care about people, coffee, and then at the end of the day, you got to know why you're doing it. Whether that's a community element, or if you're just trying to, be somebody who is advocating for people in other countries. There's so many things you can do, but make sure that there's a why, because that'll give you the passion to continue to do what you do.
My name's Jenny Barrett, and I'm the owner of Kitty Brew Cat Cafe. Right after I had my daughter, on Friday nights, we would all just like to sit in a living room and watch Shark Tank. And one evening, a young lady pitched the idea to the sharks about a cat cafe. And it piqued my interest because I'd been doing rescue for a little while. The next day I did a little bit more looking into it, and I thought, I think I could probably do this. The goal was to find as many homes for these cats as we possibly could. So we opened April 9th of 2017, so we're very close to our 4-year anniversary, and we've done close to 2,500 adoptions in that amount of time. So our adoption numbers keep going up, and we're still getting cats homes.
Kitty Brew is a really wonderful way to give back to the community and a really wonderful way to support animals in need.
I usually try to have around 24 cats. So we get cats every week. Some we've had for minutes. They come out of the crate, somebody knows what they're looking for, and it's that one. And then some we've had for several months. So it really just depends on who's looking and at what cat, but most of them don't stay much longer than like a week. Most of the cats that we've had in this lounge would have been euthanized, if we're just being completely honest, because we've freed up so much cage space. They're able to help more off the street. So if you adopt from us, you're saving 3 lives. You get to take a cat home, I'll text the rescue, they'll bring me another one, and then they're able to pull one off the street that's been overlooked. So that's pretty amazing.
When I say that the cat chooses the person, a lot of the time that's super apparent. You can tell when the person knows, like, oh, this is it. This is my cat. One example that comes to mind is we had a cat here named Rick. The second this couple came in and sat down on the couch, he crawled all over them, he licked their faces, like, we knew. And they took him home, and they've been so happy ever since.
Of course, I've taken 4 home. The only one that I adopted that is still with me his name is Nemo, and he's missing a leg. He's really awkward, and I love him for that.
I've fallen in love with many a cat here. It's hard not to. They're all so incredibly sweet.
Including myself, there's 5 of us. Yeah, we take care of each other. The girls help me out immensely.
I love working for Jenny. Easily my favorite boss I've ever had, and I've worked a lot of jobs. It's just so wonderful to know that when I come into work, not only do I get to do something I love, but I get to, work for a great cause. And on top of that, I get to work for someone who I know really cares about me, cares about, the business, cares about every single customer that walks in the door, cares about every single cat. She's just, I've never met anyone like her. She's a single mom, and yet she can do it all. She's incredible.
I've been homeschooling my child it's been almost a year that I've had her at home, so I'm not able to be here a lot, but I don't worry because they just handle it. They do it with grace and a smile on their face.
We definitely get to know and form a really great relationship with our regulars, and getting to form relationships with them is really wonderful. Just knowing that, they do what they can to support us is really fulfilling.
I think what's special, aside from like everybody that works here, our volunteers, all of that, it's the community. Like the Mason, Westchester area has been amazing. When we came out to Mason, everything just fell into place, and the community's been super supportive. We were thinking we were going to have to close, a couple months ago, and we did a GoFundMe, and people were so generous, and that they're the reason we're still here. Every day there's new people, new faces. Nobody's the same, and that's wonderful. We love them. We couldn't do any of this without them. We couldn't.
So my name is Zachary Good. I'm a tattoo artist at Aisle 9 Tattoo. I've been tattooing for almost 3.5 years. It'll be 4 years this December. I primarily specialize in the realism style, black and gray and color realism. Those are my strengths, and that's what I actually enjoy doing. I started my apprenticeship about a year into my recovery process. Yeah, I started using, experimenting with drugs, in high school. It quickly turned from experimentation to basically full-on addiction, and then it just got progressively worse from there. I went off to college. At that point, I had a full-on heroin addiction. So I thought, leaving and going to school, getting away from the old people and places and things would kind of be a fresh start for me, but it wasn't. I was able to go to college for a year or two and ended up using it again. Rock bottom was just, my self-esteem was just the lowest point it's ever been. Constantly living in fear, and just, with no hope of ever getting clean or getting out of that lifestyle. I was literally living on the streets, in abandoned houses and under bridges, and then once I actually got to treatment, something had changed internally. I can't really explain what it was, but I will say the environment and even the 12-step recovery community, I guess, gave me hope to know what was possible, and that's when the recovery process really began. Now, I didn't feel like totally changed and transformed at that point, but I felt like there was hope for me, and that's kind of when things started. When I first got clean, I was just working random jobs just to pay the bills, and at the time when I was offered an apprenticeship, I was working in a factory, and it was not something I was excited about or passionate about. My current mentor, Matt, is a tattooing friend of mine from high school, and I've always had the ability to, an artistic talent, and that's what I studied in college, I studied in high school, but I pretty much given up on that as a passion, But he showed Matt some of my artwork from high school, some of the drawings I had done, and Matt was impressed and just felt led to reach out to me and offer me an apprenticeship. Now, I didn't have any tattoos at the time, so I wasn't, familiar with the culture, and had a kind of misunderstanding or misinformed idea of what tattooing was and what it could offer me. Now, when that opportunity came along, I still wasn't, quite, sure what I was getting into. But as I, got further into my career, it did reignite my passion. And it gave me, something that I was actually excited to do. Now, as far as how that relates to my recovery, I felt like I had something, worth losing, and I know if I were to go back and use, I would lose all that in a heartbeat. I guess my mission, so to speak, with tattooing is to leave people better off than than before I met them or when I worked with them. And that can mean a lot of things, whether it's the actual tattoo I give them and it increasing their self-esteem, it giving them a sense of closure if we're honoring a family member who passed, or the experience that I have with them to get to know them better and to get excited about what they're up to in life, and to leave them, touched, moved, and inspired. Leaving my chair, is kind of like my mission. It's more than just a tattoo, it's the connection that's created between me and my client. Now some clients I have more fun with than others, but I still get something out of every experience I have. Essentially, I'm marking somebody for life, and I get to be a part of their life for the rest of their life.